Mumbai cases soar, worry over vaccine hesitancy. A Mumbai survey says that 33% in slums are not taking vaccine. It's a rude shock for many small investors ahead of the new financial year. Government slashes interest rates for small savings. Senior citizens and those who have lost jobs or income during COVID-19 crisis are hit the most. It is a do-or-die battle for Mamata Banerjee in Nandigram. Banerjee's outreach to opposition on eve of polling in a letter to Sonia Gandhi. She says that unite against BJP. It's a setback for Karnataka Chief Minister. In fact, High Court says investigate the CM in Operation Kamala. Bombay High Court wraps ex-top cop Paramveer Singh. Without FIR, how can CBI take over a case, they ask. Karnataka's capital Bengaluru is seeing a big surge in COVID numbers and children are not being spared. In the latest data, 24-hour released on Tuesday night, 50 children under 10 tested positive of the total of almost 2,000 positive cases reported the same day. Around 500 children tested positive in the city so far this month. Maya Sharma reports.
A spike in COVID cases in Bengaluru means more children are testing positive too. The city corporation, however, says there is no real surge when it comes to cases among the very young.
Children, as I told you, that out of 32,000 students, school students who have been tested during this month, only about 121 positive cases were found. We can clearly say that it is children are not infected in large numbers.
One big difference from the first wave that could account for more infections. Schools are open for some grades. Not just school, children are out of home much more since the days of the lockdown. The Chief Minister had made it clear that despite the rising COVID numbers, schools would stay open.
ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಇಂದ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆ ಕುಣಿದು ಕೊಪ್ಪಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡೋ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗುವಂತದ್ದು ಬಹಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿರಿಯರ ಮತ್ತು ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಸಲಹೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರಿಂದ
there is no proposal for closure of any schools. The situation doesn't warrant closing of schools as of now.
Not all students and parents are convinced.
Better to stop the school because only we are having one kids, no, so we should be aware of it, and aged persons also there at home, so it will be a problem.
So in all the schools they are taking alternate days, but in our school regular days they are taking. We want alternate days.
With COVID protocols not always observed, everybody is more vulnerable. And that includes the youngest members of our society. With Kumar and Govind, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Maharashtra government has slashed RT-PCR rates once again. Now RT-PCR at private labs will cost 500 rupees and antigen tests will be done at 150 rupees. Mumbai is seeing a surge of nearly 6,000 to 7,000 cases daily, and the BMC says they plan to vaccinate 1 lakh people every day. There's a massive spike in Maharashtra. Daily deaths are over 200. According to the survey done by BMC, about 33% of people in slums are against vaccination.
Mumbai is facing a twin challenge, surging COVID cases but also vaccine hesitancy. According to Mumbai Municipality Survey, about 33% of people in slums are against vaccination, despite scientists, doctors and government assuring them these are safe. 45-year-old Rajesh Kohli, staying in Dharavi, says he won't get the vaccine until he's convinced it is safe.
मैंने खुद ने अब तक वैक्सीन नहीं लिया है। ये सरकार बिल्कुल सही ढंग से बता नहीं रही है लोगों को। एक क्लियर जस्टिफिकेशन होना चाहिए, क्लियर संदेश होना चाहिए जो हमको ये समझाए कि हमको वैक्सीन किस तरीके से लेना चाहिए और उसके बाद में क्या करना चाहिए।
Like Rajesh, Abdul Rashid, a 55-year-old driver, is also worried.
उसमें कई लोगों का इंतकाल हो जा रहा है, कई लोग किसी को साइड इफेक्ट हो रहा है, किसी को तकलीफ हो रही है। हमको जिस दिन लगेगा कि वैक्सीन सक्सेस है हम जाके ले लेंगे।
Cases in Dharavi are up by 383, nearly 9% in a week. A separate vaccination booth was started 9 days ago, but only 1100 people have got themselves vaccinated.
लोगों को अभी तक समझ नहीं है वैक्सीनेशन का, कि उनको डर बैठा हुआ है मन में कि वैक्सीनेशन लेने के बाद हमारा कुछ गलत इफेक्ट नहीं हो जाए। तो वही हमारे प्रयास यही है कि उनको समझाए कि भाई वैक्सीनेशन से कोई तकलीफ आएगी नहीं, साइड इफेक्ट्स कम है, इसके कोई साइड इफेक्ट्स नहीं है। और वहाँ पे जो जिधर वैक्सीनेशन लेने जाए उधर डॉक्टर्स भी है, तो वो भी उनको गाइड करते हैं।
Situation in Mankhurd and Kovandi slums is also similar. An NGO Apnale, which worked with municipality there, says the solution is door-to-door vaccination.
घर घर जाकर वैक्सीन देना, सारे लोगों को वैक्सीन देना, और जिसको ज़रूरत होगी, तकलीफ होगी, वो वापस हॉस्पिटल आ सकता है। लेकिन सिर्फ इस डर से लोगों को वैक्सीन घर घर ना जा करके देना, मुझे लगता है कि इस स्ट्रैटेजी की बहुत बड़ी कमजोरी है।
About 55% of city's population lives in high-density slums. The municipality is planning to open separate booths for these areas. They wanted a door-to-door vaccination, but the centre says it hasn't received a specific request. One of the ways to control the spread of COVID is to vaccinate in a major way. But if there are any apprehensions, those fears need to be addressed as well. In Mumbai, with Pooja Bharadwaj and camera person Praveen Ji Rohit, this is Purva Chitnas for NDTV.
Now, millions are gathering for Mahakumbh amid second wave of coronavirus. Just a day before Kumbh officially starts in Hardwar, COVID-appropriate behavior and norms of social distancing have totally gone for a toss. The COVID cases in the state have seen a rise of over 100%. Meanwhile, a negative RT-PCR report has been made mandatory for people travelling from 12 states in Uttarakhand. With cases rising, Chhattisgarh has now become the state with 5th highest number of active coronavirus cases in the country, with Durg, Rajnandgaon and Raipur, which border Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, accounting for nearly 70% of total active cases in the state. A night curfew has been announced in 14 of 27 districts. But is that enough to contain the virus? Here's a report. Take a look.
Durg, a small town near the center of India, is at the heart of India's COVID crisis. Surging cases in smaller towns is exactly what the Prime Minister warned about a couple of weeks ago. Cases in Durg have shot up almost 3,000% in a month, from 26 new ones on February 28 to 769 fresh cases on Tuesday. Chhattisgarh's capital Raipur, with a 1,100% rise in cases in a month to 728 fresh cases on Tuesday, is a close second. But are the state's smaller towns and districts also causing the second COVID wave? Cases in Korba are up from 0 to 108 in 1 month. Cases in Rajnandgaon from 1 to 245. In Bemetara, the cases have gone up from 2 to 200 new cases. And in Mahasamand, they are up from 1 to 119 in a month.
ये सरकार कोई भी हो, कहीं की भी हो, किसी दुनिया की देश की सरकार क्यों ना हो, एक सीमा से ज्यादा वो नागरिकों को बंद करके, कैद करके नहीं रख सकती। तो व्यवस्था सरकार कर सकती है, जानकारी सरकार दे सकती है। इस प्रकार की वैश्विक महामारी में नागरिकों का सहयोग जब तक नहीं मिलेगा, तो इसको फैलने से रोक पाना असंभव है।
The big worry is if the surge reaches the state's villages, a substantial chunk of whom are located in remote, inhospitable areas. At this government hospital 30 kilometers outside Raipur that serves a rural population, doctors are worried.
अभी तो काफ़ी केसेस बढ़ गए हैं, जो मैंने जैसे पहले भी कहा कि जो डिक्लाइन हो चुके थे केसेस वो अभी वापस से बढ़ रहे हैं।
गांव में तो बहुत ज़्यादा पिछले समय की तुलना में तो बहुत ज़्यादा विकराल रूप लेते जा रहे हैं, रोज बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। स्थिति तो गंभीरता ऐसा स्थिति हो जाएगा कि समझ से परे हो जाएगा, लगता है ऐसा। गांव में बढ़ रहा है, शहर के आदमी अब गांव से आना जाना है, संबंध है।
Worried over the surge in cases, the Chhattisgarh government has announced a night curfew in 14 of the state's 27 districts. But is this enough? With Somesh Patel in Raipur, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Are Indians not careful enough about COVID? What could have caused this surge once again? Listen to Dr. Randeep Guleria, the director of AIIMS.
Dr. Guleria, how would you respond to those who say that India never was very careful, people just never cared. And somehow or the other the numbers were declining significantly, and then all of a sudden with the same behavior the numbers started rising, which is why this talk of this variant is gaining. I mean, there seems to be logic in that.
Yeah, so that is a possibility. I don't deny that there is. This is exactly like you said what happened in the UK, that they were also in a better position somewhere in September, October, and then they had this huge surge before Christmas. And we are seeing that right now around Holi because of the fact that the same sort of situation is repeating itself. And therefore it's quite likely that what has led to this increased surge is also the virus changing or mutating, and we would just need to link it with the epidemiological data. But the fact that data currently is not there doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right.
It's likely, logically, that if there's a certain surge in cases, there is something which is happening which the virus is now becoming more infectious, but it's also that we are allowing that to happen. We are allowing the virus to really spread in our own community because I would say from January, February, when we've had the vaccine rollout started, people have said that now COVID is over in our country. You have to just talk to the common man and he'll say, now there is no COVID, I can just go around.
No, it's a huge problem. No getting away from that, Dr. Guleria. Absolutely. There is no COVID appropriate behavior.
Now moving on, government has cut interest rates on small savings with effect from April 1st. Savings deposit revised from 4% to 3.5% annually. PPF rates are down from 7.1% to 6.4% annually. 1 year time deposit has been revised from 5.5% to 4.4% quarterly. Senior citizen savings schemes rate is down from 7.4% to 6.5% quarterly. Moving on to a state where polls are taking place, which is West Bengal. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee wrote to 10 key opposition leaders, including Congress's Sonia Gandhi, suggesting a big get-together for a strategy to take on the BJP after the current round of assembly polls. The strongly worded 7-point letter sent on the eve of her big battle with bitter rival Suvendu Adhikari in Nandigram said the time has come for a united and effective struggle against BJP's attacks on democracy and constitution and presenting a credible alternative to the people of India. Now, the Karnataka High Court has allowed an inquiry into the role played by B.S. Yediyurappa into what is known as Operation Kamala. In 2019, the coalition government in the state between the Congress and Janata Dal Secular collapsed after several MLAs from two parties abandoned the coalition and switched their loyalties to the BJP. The Congress has alleged that this was done by the BJP using corrupt means and inducement. Meanwhile, his own minister K.S. Ishwarappa has written to the governor and the BJP High Command complaining of interference from the Chief Minister. The complaint in fact has attracted sharp criticism from Congress, which called for resignation of the Chief Minister. Here's a tweet from Congress Chief D.K. Shivakumar. He says the CM must either immediately submit his resignation or must sack the minister if the accusations aren't true. Well, with that, there's a quick break on the show, but when we come back, there's more on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, there was a minor stone pelting in Coimbatore between two groups ahead of a rally by UP CM Yogi Adityanath. Yogi was in Coimbatore to campaign for BJP's Vanathi Srinivasan. The police dispersed both groups. Unrest happened after police initially had asked one group to close their shops. The shops were reopened after authorities intervened. The Bombay High Court wrapped top cop Parambir Singh. They said without FIR, how can CBI take over the case? The High Court said decision will be announced on 1st of April. The Income Tax Department has extended the last date for linking the Aadhaar number with PAN or permanent account number from 31st of March 2021 to 30th of June 2021 in order to provide relief amid the COVID-19 pandemic. They said, keeping in view the difficulties faced by the taxpayers, the central government has issued notification extending the last date for the intimation of Aadhaar number and linking thereof with PAN to 30th of June 2021. Now, a fierce forest fire is being reported in Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh. What's also being reported is a lack of proper fire extinguishing system with the administration. The forest trees and plants are all burnt out, putting wildlife in danger. The management and forest department have been working to extinguish the fire. Even after 12 hours, the fire is not under control.
3 days after the massive forest fire broke out at the Bandhavgarh National Park, the blaze is still not out. It is believed to have spread to the 3 critical zones of the park, damaging trees, grasslands and animals. Locals have alleged that not enough measures were taken to put out the fire when it first started.
In Bandhavgarh National Park, we have over 100 tigers. It's one of the most densely packed tiger reserves in the world. But what this fire really does is really bad for herbivores. Even if the fires are doused, what we're going to face is a huge calamity on our hands.
Spread across an area of 105 square kilometer, Bandhavgarh National Park in Madhya Pradesh is home to Royal Bengal tigers and flourishing biodiversity. Diversity which is now under serious threat.
This is clearly human-induced, and it seemed like a coordinated attack in Bandhavgarh because there are 6 ranges in Bandhavgarh and all 6 caught fire nearly at the same time.
The cause of the massive fire and damages are yet to be ascertained, as 6 forest ranges in one of the country's largest biosphere continues to burn. Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, NDTV.
Well, that's all we could pack into this bulletin. Thank you very much for watching.